Estamos con Beakman, el grandioso Beakman. Entonces vamos a hacerle algunas preguntas ahorita que vino a México. So Beakman, thank you so much for your time. Tell us what is your inspiration for your character?
That's an interesting question. Just like a New Yorker guy, I think, very New York, and very physical, using my hands. I'm a puppeteer. That's my background, doing puppet shows. So to be very physical and expressive, and I guess that's a big inspiration. But I'm inspired also by very obscure American artists like Lord Buckley, who was a comedian in the 50s, who's really cool. So a lot of inspirations.
What's the name of the comedy?
Lord Buckley.
Lord Buckley.
Okay. Lord Richard Buckley in the 50s.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah, and he was super cool. And then TV shows that I grew up with, like Soupy Sales, and Soupy Sales is a big inspiration. For Beakman, big inspiration, Soupy Sales. And he was a wild guy, kid show. But adults watch the show, and a lot of the things in our show are inspired by Soupy Sales.
Yeah, we have those kind of videos that you have too many knowledge about that,
right.
And we want to know about where did you get that knowledge of all those videos that you made in the program?
Well, like I said, inspired by different comedians in the past and TV shows. And, in the old days in television, it was very influenced by theater. So the box to artists was like a theater, so there was an edge. So like an arm would come in, the arm would go out through the edge, and we did that in Beakman. So that's a very old school way of looking at the image, that there's something off stage, you don't get to see the whole thing, you just get to see the character's arm. That's like an old school idea. So that was a big inspiration.
Yeah, and about physical and chemical instruments that you always do in your show, what kind of inspiration do you get there? Yeah, well, we know that the comedy part is from those kind of puppets that seems so cool.
Yeah.
But the other part, the part that has the physical and chemical, where did they get that?
Well, I think that the writers we took questions from kids, and we tried to think of imaginative ways of explaining these things using props and toys and demonstrations. So the writers were really good at inventing ways to express different physical things and just to do it in an interesting way. I mean, Lester the Rat was a guy named Mark Ritz, and he was hired to do a puppet on the show. He was going to do a rat puppet. And the director said, what do we need a puppet for? It should be a guy in a suit. And he showed up ready to do a puppet, and we were like, no, you're wearing a suit. He was like, what? Huh? But he was so brilliant.
Yeah, and that's an original and a great idea.
Yeah, and he was really great. And he was also a beautiful human being. He was a really cool guy.
All people love Leslie so much.
Now you are a legend around the world, and much people grow up with your program. And now all the people come to this convention just for see you. How are you feeling about it?
It's very humbling, I think. It's almost like embarrassing because, I'm an artist, I've been a performer, a puppeteer all my life. And to find out that people had such a strong emotional connection to Beakman, it's interesting because in America, Steven Spielberg said, "Oh, Beakman's the best kid show. And we got great press."
Really?
Yeah, and all that. But it was a cult thing. But in Latin America, it's different. It's not a cult. It's like everyone And it's because the show has something that appeals to the Latin sensibility. There's something about it. And I don't entirely understand it, but what I do understand, I say to people in Mexico, why do you love the show so much? And they say, oh, because you explain science so well, and the show is funny, and blah, blah, blah. But that doesn't explain it. It's emotion. It was an emotion. And the Beakman looked at the camera. I was never farther away from the camera than I am from here. Never farther away. The camera was always where you are. And I looked at the kids. The kids are sitting at home, and I looked in their eyes. And that had an emotional connection. And I think that explains the passion.
Wow, that's kind of cool, man.
Yeah.
And curation about that, some kind of those people that mentioned about physics or chemistry.
Well, I think what's interesting is when you look at some of the great scientists, like Richard Feynman, the physicist, he was a bongo player. He played the bongos. He was an artistic guy. And I think the best scientists, in a way, were like artists, that they thought outside the box, and they thought about these things in a way that artists think about things, and they invented things, and were able to make connections between disparate things, the way artists are able to do. So that's like an inspiration. It's interesting. Yeah.
What is your favorite thing in your career?
Oh, geez. That's a difficult question to answer because I've done a lot of things. I worked in the bread and puppet theater in the States, and we used to do circuses with puppets outside, and we had like 25,000 people come to our backyard, and we do these shows with puppets, and it was an unbelievable experience. So 25,000 people, no microphones, just all projecting their voices and doing puppet shows and the value of puppets and how great they are. And so that's where I come from. My background is puppetry. I'm not an actor. I'm a performer. And so, yeah, that had a lot to do with it.
Wow, great. And I think it's the last question that we have here. For all the experiments that you have, what was the difficult one? I know that there are too much, but I think that you have one personal issue.
Well, I can tell you, doing the theory of relativity, Einstein's theory of relativity for 6 to 8-year-olds or 10-year-olds, the writers did an amazing job. And I got to play Albert Einstein. And that was because I played like 25, 30 characters on the show. And the writers didn't know that, I played Galileo in one of the first episodes with an Italian accent. And they said, well, what other accents can you do? And I'm a puppeteer, so we do a lot of accents, a lot of characters, in puppet shows. And I said, yeah, whatever you got. Just, So I ended up playing a lot of different types of characters. English characters, French characters, Italian, Vermonters, whatever. And the writers would adapt. They said, oh, this guy could do a lot of stuff, so let's invent a lot of fun shit for him to do. And it was fun. And plus, the thing on the set was we just laughed all day long. We just had a good time all the time. It wasn't nasty or difficult, or it was just we laughed all day long. And if the cameraman had an idea, or the prop guy said, hey, I got an idea, we'd be like, okay, or no, So it was very free, creative atmosphere on the stage. And I think that helped a lot, too.
For the end, what message you want to hear your friends and the people who love you?
Well, the message I can say is I am very, very grateful. I'm very grateful. It's been a great gift. And I'm very honored by it, and humbled by it, and it's great. I mean, what more could you ask for? So I say thank you. I've been super lucky.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you for your time.
Yeah.
Hope to see you again in
you always welcome.
NAM, IPN, and those those kind of schools that are
Yeah.
representing here in Mexico.
I hope so. I love playing here. So.
Yeah, those kind of times.
Right on.
Beakman and shot by Jesse.